Here on this channel, I talk about the best citizenship programs around the world, citizenship by investment, citizenship by descent. But what are the citizenships, the passports that I would personally not take? I would personally not go for them. And if you have the opportunity to go to one of these countries and get citizenship, get their passport, I would advise caution and I would advise against them. The first category of these countries are sanction countries or countries with a terrible reputation around the world. I've actually never mentioned this on YouTube, but I had the opportunity to get Russian permanent residency and potential citizenship by investing in Russia. Russia is actually trying to get as much investment as possible from countries like China, like Latin America, a lot of different places around the world that want to invest in Russia, get permanent residency, and then eventually get citizenship after a couple of months or after a year. And obviously that comes with its problems. The Russian passport is banned from multiple countries in Europe. You obviously have the military requirement, which is another category, countries with military requirement, as well as opening a bank account. Doing many things with a Russian passport just creates more hassle than more good. Russian residency, on the other hand, I would take it, but having that citizenship, you have to be extremely careful. And the same goes for any sanctioned country, like Iran, like Syria, any of those countries where you maybe have ancestry. You want to be cautious. You don't want to get a Cuban passport so that you then have a ton of problems without that much upside, because you don't get access to that many countries around the world. Countries like Vanuatu, they have a citizenship by investment program. You can get a nationality from there, but the downsides outweigh the upsides. It's a country that everybody knows is shady. It's a country that everybody knows has a bad reputation. So I would advise against a country like that, where just the sanctions, the reputation damage, the overall problems that the passport and the citizenship would bring to your life heavily outweighs the upsides. The second category of passports or citizenships that I would not get or I would advise caution are military service requirement citizenships, like Turkey. For example, Turkey has a great citizenship by investment program, but if you give it to your children and those children spend some time in Turkey, they could be sent to the military to fight for Turkey. And you obviously don't want that for your children. A good decision would be to get it for yourself and then wait until your children are older to then give them the citizenship or then apply for them for citizenship by investment in Turkey, but not to give it to them when they're young, or not to get Turkish citizenship by investment, because then you can pass it on to your future children and then they would be liable for military service. So you definitely want to be careful how you go about these countries. The same thing applies for Israel. Passing down Israeli nationality, obviously, even the women have to do military service in that case. And now with the situation going on in Israel and Gaza, you have a lot of problems with that kind of citizenship. You want to exercise caution with these countries that require you to go to the military. Another side of that would be countries with no military or very little military requirements. A place like Costa Rica, for example, that doesn't even have a military. Giving Costa Rican citizenship, giving birth in Costa Rica so your children get Costa Rican nationality, that would be a lot more upside than it is downside, because you don't have a war in Costa Rica, you don't have military requirements, it's not a sanctioned country. So a passport and citizenship like that, I would definitely go for. Now, another category that a lot of people focus on and people talk way too much about is countries that you can't renounce their citizenship. I renounced US citizenship, and people have asked me, why do you talk about Argentina when you can't renounce their citizenship? I don't really see that as much of a downside. Argentina will most likely not issue a citizenship-based taxation, and if they do issue it, it's going to be very hard to enforce it. The US can enforce it because of their power over the world, because of the US dollar, because of the military. But Argentina wouldn't really be able to do much. And yes, it might be a little bit problematic that you can't renounce that citizenship in case anything happens around the world, in case you need to do military service, but in most cases you either pay to get out of it or you just live in another country to get out of it. So I wouldn't really think of Argentina as a place to not get citizenship just because you can't renounce it. The Argentinian passport is one of the best in the world. It has a great reputation. Now with Milei, hopefully the future of Argentina is very bright. He's making great decisions. He's leading the country properly. And let's see what it turns out in the future. So if somebody told me, here's your Argentinian nationality, which is harder and harder to get, stricter and stricter to get, I would probably take it. I wouldn't deny it just because you can't renounce it. That doesn't really make that much sense. Other countries, though, make it really hard for you to renounce, like Morocco. Morocco makes it very difficult for you to renounce their citizenship. Other similar countries like that, in that case, not that great of a passport, not that great of a reputation, not that great of a country to live in, and also very hard to renounce. In that case, it just has a lot more downside than upside. In that case, I wouldn't take the nationality if it were offered to me. And the next category, which I obviously did, is renouncing citizenship-based taxation, the United States of America. I wouldn't get US nationality. I wouldn't get US citizenship if I'm a wealthy individual. I wouldn't have children in the US to get them US citizenship. I would not become a US person in any case if you have any significant amount of money because you will pay taxes no matter where you go. You will have to file forms. You will have to tell the IRS everything you do around the world. You will be restricted. You will be controlled. Anything you do will be surveilled all over the world, and they will chase you. Even if you go to the moon, they will chase you because you have the US citizenship. So obviously, any country that has a worldwide tax, that had citizenship-based taxation and strict and enforced citizenship-based taxation, if Canada starts to enforce citizenship-based taxation because they're a controlling government, because they want more and more of your money, then obviously not a citizenship I would recommend. I don't get the obsession of US citizenships. There's way better citizenships. There's way better passports around the world that you don't need to bend and show your butt to the US government. I don't understand the obsession. Maybe from third world countries, maybe from people that have terrible passports, they want to go to America. But if you're a wealthy individual, if you have options around the world, US citizenship should be the last one on your list. And then the last category that I wouldn't get a citizenship or I would just avoid completely is the enemy of my current citizenship. Let's say you have an Armenian passport because you have Armenian ancestry or because you lived in Armenia. You're not going to get a passport from Azerbaijan. If you're Serbian, you have Serbian citizenship because you built a business over the years in Serbia, you invested in Serbia, you lived in Serbia. You're not going to get Albanian citizenship or Kosovar citizenship. So overall, not getting a citizenship that is the enemy of your current country or one of the countries where you have citizenship. The same applies for Russia and Ukraine. I know people from Russia that have acquired Ukrainian nationality and they travel the world on both passports. You have to be extremely careful doing that. And you have to be extremely careful having current war dual nationality of two countries that are currently at war. You have to be super careful. You can get into very, very deep trouble. One of those governments, if they find out, they might imprison you because they think you're doing work for the other government. So overall, if you have one nationality and the opportunity arises to have citizenship from the country that is the enemy of your current country, then I would obviously deny that. If you're interested in getting a second citizenship and you want to know the best passports around the world that my wealthiest clients are getting, check out the video right here on 10 countries that sell their passports. You can get a passport in as little as 3 to 6 months from many countries all over the world. Check them out right here.